Hello and welcome to this Astranti video. My name's James and today I'm going to be running you through our industry analysis pack for the OCS case study exam. The aim of this video is to draw out and highlight some of the key topics within our industry analysis which we believe will be useful for you in your exam. This video isn't a substitute for the actual pack itself, so we recommend highly that you read the pack thoroughly in conjunction with watching this video. So of course this industry analysis is focused on our luxury leather goods manufacturer, Mansako. And Mansako is based in a fictional Western European country called Lowerland. So it is the luxury leather goods and the handbag industry in particular, which we are going to be focusing on over the course of this video. Now, before I go into this analysis in a little bit more detail, I am just going to highlight to you or remind you the role that you are meant to have within this fictional company. So your role within Mansako is that of a finance officer. And as a finance officer for the company, you're involved in a range of different duties, from producing budgets and management accounts every month, to assisting with the preparation of the company's annual financial statements and dealing with any other queries which might relate to financial reporting. So with your role within the company clarified, let's dive into our analysis in a little bit more detail. And I thought a useful place for us to start would be a brief examination of the history behind the industry that we're going to be looking at. So as you may be aware, the use of animal hides to make leather to be used in clothing and other items is a practice which dates back thousands of years to prehistoric periods. So the practice of tanning, where skins are transformed into leather, can be dated back to several thousand years BC. The process has evolved from the days when tanners were relegated to the outskirts of medieval cities. And today it is a chemical called chromium sulfate, which is regarded as the most effective tanning agent for producing leather. The existence of purse or bag-like items dates back nearly as far as leather production itself. And in earlier times, the main purpose of these items was to carry or store items such as coins. These products were for both genders, so both men and women would use bags for these purposes, with pouches or bags often attached to belts of wearers. And so aside from the practical uses for carrying items such as coins, bags such as the Scottish sporran were also seen as symbols of wealth and status for those who wore them. The use of bags in this manner then changed in the early 17th century when pockets were introduced to men's clothing. And this negated the need for men to carry bags, and it meant that bags or handbags became more exclusively the domain of women. Interestingly, the Industrial Revolution and the increasing use of railways and the increase in travelling among everyday people brought and impacted the development and use of bags. The 1841 example of Samuel Parkinson, a Doncaster-based industrialist, designing a custom set of travel bags for his wife, is a prime example of how, due to the increase in travel in this period, people were looking for a product which was more functional and more practical than the more fashionable purses which had come before. And so moving on into the 20th and 21st century, and it's here that we see the development of some of the most iconic handbag designers that we have in the market today. And here I'm talking about designers such as Gucci and Louis Vuitton, who are people we will return to over the course of this analysis. So how can we apply this history to the pre-scene? Well, just quickly, some of the main ideas which you can draw from the history of the industry is the importance of quality and design, especially in the modern era when we're looking at some of these designers such as Gucci and Louis Vuitton. Although not exclusively the case, it's also not wrong to say that what we are looking at here is more of a female-focused market. And this is reinforced by the fact that Mansako only produces products for female consumers. And finally, another key point to draw out of the history of the industry is that of practicality. It was the development of pockets in male clothing, for instance, which led to the female consumer becoming the primary focus for the industry. And then equally, it was the Industrial Revolution and the increase in travel, which led to the development of more practical and more sturdy bags for consumers. So we're now going to move on and look at some of the different types of products within the luxury leather goods industry. And to look at some of the major products within the industry, we're going to look at some of the major competitors in the industry. And you can see these on the screen at the moment. And so on the right of this table, you can see that in general, the major products that these companies produce are bags, so things such as handbags, rucksacks, and also travelwear. But it's also evident that a range of these companies produce other product ranges, from jewellery and accessories to shoes and clothing. And what this can be attributed to is the fact that some companies started as handbag manufacturers and have expanded out to other ranges, while other more fashionable designer companies started with ranges of clothing and other items and have developed the handbag arm of their business as a diversification opportunity, as a bit of a spin-off, if you like. A final key point about these competitors and the product ranges that they sell is that they target both male and female consumers. Handbag companies, of course, are predominantly focused on female consumers, but extensively now they are producing large ranges of briefcases, of business wear and of travel wear aimed at male consumers. So now that we've identified some of the different product ranges that top competitors in the industry are producing, I'd like to focus on a particular issue in terms of products within the industry, and that is the issue surrounding discounting. Now, discounting is one of the main issues which are facing companies within the luxury leather goods industry, and this has been a particularly prevalent issue in recent years. One of the key points which we will refer back to on numerous occasions throughout this video is the importance of highlighting and identifying consumer trends within the industry and producing products which take advantage of this trend. And this is an idea that companies within the industry have failed to take hold of in recent years. And what it's meant is that companies have produced a range of different products which haven't captured the consumer imagination. Essentially, too many products have been produced, and what this means is that as consumers aren't necessarily interested, these products haven't been sold. This issue has been exacerbated by the use of third-party retailers such as department stores to sell products for these companies. And what we've seen is there is now a mass availability of products which, by their nature and by the nature of the industry they're in, should be luxury and exclusive in nature, and this hasn't been the case. And so in an attempt to shift this unsold stock, companies have resorted to discounting. And so not only is there now an oversaturation of the market, there are now a huge plethora of these supposedly luxury bags that are available at a knockdown price. And so to put this into context, as you can see, Mintel have conducted market research, and it shows that 74% of British consumers would typically buy bags which are on sale or special offer. This is logical. If there's a product on offer that's cheaper than its standard form, you will buy that product. And what this means generally is that not only do companies have too many products on the market, they are being forced to sell these products for lower than they originally wanted at discounted prices. And unsurprisingly, this is impacting their profitability. And it's companies such as Coach and other similar American companies which have been particularly affected by these issues. So how do these issues affect our pre-scene company, Mansako? Well, if we return to the ideas with regards to the product ranges of competitors first, it's clear that Mansako is competing against companies which have much more diverse product ranges than it does. It's obvious that companies such as Dolce & Gabbana, for instance, will have wider product ranges than our lower-land retailer, as they are more general fashion brands which don't focus exclusively on handbags. However, it's also noticeable that companies such as Mulberry, who focus more exclusively on fashion accessories like handbags, have more diverse product ranges than our lower-land retailer. So Mulberry, for instance, not only sells bags, but also sells shoes, other accessories, and also, of course, jewellery. The other key aspect which we need to recognise with regards to Mansako's products is the fact that it focuses exclusively on women's bags, and this is not an approach which many of the company's rivals undertake. The ideas about the problems caused by discounting products is actually prominently addressed in the pre-scene. And we're told that sales from discounting remain a sizable component of the market, and that companies need to handle them in a more strategic manner. What is interesting to see, however, from Mansako's financial statements is when we look at the company's inventory. So you can see that the left-hand figure, which represents the latest inventories figure on the company's statement of financial position, is marginally lower than the company's inventories figure from the previous year of 2016. And so this may be down to a number of reasons, but what it may suggest is that this idea of discounting is something which our lower-land retailer has identified, and has identified that it is a problem, and has looked to implement a policy whereby they stock a reduced amount of inventory. And these figures, this change on the statement of financial position, could be evidence that this policy is being implemented, which in general is obviously really positive in terms of the company thinking strategically and identifying issues in the market and doing something about these. Another key idea which links in with the rise of discount products is the changing consumer demand of, in particular, the millennial generation, but also more widely, a desire for affordable luxury products. And this is what we're going to be looking at next in our video. So the affordable luxury trend has been a prominent development in the industry in the last few years. Essentially, what the trend focuses around is the fact that increasingly consumers are not willing to pay thousands of pounds for a handbag, but are still interested in the status and the prestige of purchasing products which are branded in this manner. So essentially, people want to move up from more middle of the range products to luxury products, but aren't interested in paying the top dollar which is necessary to purchase products in the high end of the market. And so New York-based Coach was particularly successful in this regard in targeting consumers with these more affordable products during the economic recession in the US. Its modern luxury ranges were accessible at price points well below the £2,000 threshold, which was commonly seen among its rivals. And Coach initially was able to carve itself out a sizable market share. Coach has stalled slightly in the middle of this latest decade and has struggled somewhat over the last few years. However, other companies in the market have followed suit and have entered this area of the market. And these include companies such as Michael Kors, whose bags are now highly sought after and sit around the £300 mark. This is of course still a significant outlay on a handbag, but it's well below the sort of the £2,000 threshold which previously constituted purchase of a luxury bag. And Michael Kors and Coach have been followed by other companies such as Mulberry and Gucci, which now have a number of product ranges which feature below the £500 mark. And an idea and a consumer trend which is very much linked to the development of this affordable luxury section is the differing requirement of the millennial generation of consumers. Of course, there are other generations which still represent significant sections of the luxury leather goods market, but it's clear that the impact of millennials has been significant in this market. The idea of personalization, for instance, is one which is highlighted later on in the pack. However, what is clear is that millennials are still interested in big name brands, but are less interested, for instance, in the use of prominent logos. And this is reflected in the fact that brands such as Kate Spade are now producing products which are more subtle in the way that they are branded and logoed. And essentially, there is more sartorial individuality in this product. Millennials are getting a more personal product and less of a standard generic product. Another key idea for this generation is that of technology. And this links in with the practicality of products being purchased. And this idea of practicality is in part linked to the desire for a smaller bag and for the purchase of smaller bags, which is addressed earlier in the pack. And essentially, the more technologically advanced this generation gets, the less that they need to carry around with them. And so the less they need a bulky bag which is going to inhibit them in their day-to-day lives. Technological advancements such as Apple and Android Pay have also been significant. Why do someone in the millennial generation need a bag, for instance, when everything they need in their day-to-day lives, so the cards, for instance, to pay for stuff, can all be included in their phone and their phone case? Not only is technology impacting the products that this generation actually purchase, it's also impacting how these products are purchased. And what we mean here is the increase in the amount of products being purchased in online formats. So there is an increasing desire, for instance, for the purchase of products through mobile devices. Not only are this generation looking to purchase products via mobile, for instance, or on digital platforms, they are also interested in using this technology to research products and the functional requirements of these products before they purchase them. And the development of online websites and other features such as apps is evidence of how companies within the industry are looking to address this trend. So before we move on from this topic, we have a nice little infographic on the screen. And you can see here that the green sections of each circle represent how much of purchases from this generation are done either on a computer or laptop or on a mobile device. And you can see here that the figures for the millennial generation do show pretty starkly that the trends that I've just been talking about are being felt specifically in the industry. So how do these changing demands and trends impact Mansako as a company? Well, one of the most obvious manifestations of this is through the company's shift towards the affordable luxury market, following the appointment of Joseph Corelli as the company's creative director. We know that before this move was made in 2015, the company had really struggled with an attempt to break into the highest end of the market, and its financial performance and financial health had suffered massively as a result. Its change in focus and its exploitation of this trend, however, has led to a transformation in the company's fortunes. This idea is reflected by what we know of the company's consumers, who are seeking an upgrade from these mid-priced goods, however are unwilling to pay for these higher-end items that Mansako initially tried to sell to them. The company's new affordable luxury approach, therefore, has obviously got a really strong consumer base. And this again contributes to the fact that its financial performance has improved massively following the shift in its focus within the market. Another area which highlights that Mansako is pretty good at identifying the different trends and desires of customers in the market is the development of the company's digital infrastructure. We know, for instance, that the company has an app, which isn't a universal feature for companies in this industry. We also know that the company has impressive figures for its internet sales, which represent 19.7% of its total sales of $43 million dollars in 2017. The company also has a range of different options, given the increasing importance of technology to generations such as the millennial generation and the impact this is having on the wider industry. This is a really positive sign for Mansako and is an area which it looks like the company is wishing to develop further in the future, which again is a really positive sign.
While I have your attention in this video, I'd just like to highlight to you to showcase some of the other products that Astranti offer for students. The first of these is the core product that the company offers, and these are our study texts. So study texts are available for every single module of every level of the CIMA qualification. So if you're looking to sit your objective test, for instance, they're a really interesting, really accessible resource that should help you pass those exams. These study texts are complemented for those of you who maybe aren't so much. These study texts are complemented by course videos, which are ideal for those of you who are more visual learners, for instance. Each of the videos is based around a presentation on each chapter of our study text, and one of our experts in the office, the expert on that particular chapter of the study text, talks through all the key points and relevant issues of that particular chapter. The next two products on the list complement each other really nicely and are ideal for those of you who are currently looking to sit your case study exams. The first of these is, of course, the pre-scene analysis, where one of our experts in the office will pick apart all the key details from the pre-scene document and highlight some of the key parts of the document which will be really useful for you going forward into your exam. Our industry analysis, as I'm sure you'll be aware from watching this video, is a more contextual look at the wider industry surrounding the pre-scene and the pre-scene company. Following on from these products, we then also provide mock exams, which are an ideal way for those of you who like to put yourself under exam pressure, for instance, in the lead up to the exam, to have a go at some really exam standard questions and test yourself out that way. If you want to take the mock exams a little bit further, we do also offer a marking and feedback service, which is provided by qualified accountants who are actually CIMA qualified themselves. The final product you can see on the list are our masterclasses, and these are for those of you who have maybe decided to sit the exam a little bit late and need to catch up, or for those of you who want an in-depth look at the entire topic. And essentially, these are an in-depth look at everything which might come up for the particular course. These are both available live, but also available as recorded videos after the event. And finally, such is the confidence that we have in our materials, that we offer a pass guarantee scheme, which essentially means that if you take our full course and unfortunately you fail to pass your exam, we will, for free, help you out with course materials for the following sitting. So once again, thank you very much for listening to this video. We hope that you choose Astranti for your course provider in the future, and wish you the best of luck for any exams you have coming up in the near future. Thank you.